Dear participants, this is 27th lecture of the National Workshop on Research Methodologies in Geography. Till today, various scholars and resource persons have delivered their lecture related to research techniques and methods and methodologies in geography. Today we are very lucky that we have a very well-known resource person, Dr. Prakash Dongre. He has been working as an associate professor in the Department of Geography in Nagindas Khandwala College, Mumbai. He has completed his post-graduation with first class in geography from the University of Mumbai in 1991. Since 1992, he has been teaching the subject at undergraduate level and postgraduate level at the Nagindas Khandwala College, Mumbai. He is faculty for Garwari Institute and MCGM initiated PG diploma course on disaster management. He is recognized PhD supervisor for the University of Mumbai and 6 students are pursuing PhD under the guidance of Dr. Dongre. He is well known among his students for his teaching of physical geography and environmental studies. His research specialization is in environmental geography. For his doctoral thesis, he has carried out an extensive field study based research work on forest of Konkan region of Maharashtra. He had published a reference book and co-authored 40 textbooks on environmental studies and geography for various courses in the state of Maharashtra, Gujarat and Goa. He has attended as well as chaired the sessions in more than 25 conferences at the national and international level and published more than 18 research papers. He had given an interview on Doordarshan on the eve of World Population Day in 2018. Currently, he is a member of Board of Studies in Geography and Environmental Studies at in NK College, Metibai College, Modern College, and University of Mumbai. I think uh, we are very lucky that Dr. Dongre has specialization in environmental geography and forestry. So, without wasting time, I request Dr. Dongre sir, sir, please kindly enlighten to our participants and give some techniques to us that we can pursue research work in the area of forestry. Thank you, sir. Please, please.
Thank you, Patil sir. Good evening to all of you. Yes, and I kept the chat box open. So if any query is there, you can unmute yourself and you can directly talk with me, or you can send the message, and through that we will try to make our session interactive. So
Yes, sir. Yes.
let's start. Thank you, Patil sir, for a nice introduction. Hope those members are there in this particular lecture are interested in doing research. So as Patil sir said, my area of specialization is environmental geography, and in that specifically I did my work related to forest. Actually, since 1991 I'm doing little bit work related to forest, because when I completed my MA, immediately after completion of my MA from University of Mumbai, I got an opportunity to work in one Indo-Dutch project, and the title of that project was Impact of Paper Industries on Forest of India. It was a sociology, geography combined type of a project. I worked in that project for almost 1.5 years. I traveled across the country, particularly the forested area, and during this particular field work, a real interest in forest and related aspects I got developed. And since that time onwards, I thought that I should do some work related to forest. So with this brief introduction, I will start with the first slide. Higher qualification is not required to do the forest and related studies. And best example we have with us, that is of Mr. Jadhav Payang of Manjuli village of Assam. What he did, he identified the problem and he tried to provide the solution to that particular problem. So what was the problem identified by the Jadhav Payang? He identified the problem of loss of biodiversity. As a result of it, the extinctions of certain species of animals. And then he tried to find the solution to this particular problem. And the solution came to him in the form of afforestation program. And a large patch of forest he has developed on a sandbank of river Brahmaputra in Assam. So, when you are interested in doing some kind of research work, you should find out first the problem, and then to that problem you should find out a systematic, viable solution. If you do that, that is what is required in a good research. Let's go to the next slide. Now, what is the importance of forest resource? Our survival, our existence is there depending on the forest, because forest plays a crucial role in our ecosystem. So if you see the food chain, if you see the food web, if you see the hydrological cycle, oxygen cycle, nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle, in all these cycles plus soil formations, soil protection, maintenance of underground water, in all these aspects the forest plays a crucial role, and so it is of great ecological importance. It is also of great economic importance to us because it provides us minor, major forest products. It provides raw material to the forest-based industries, and so it has a great economic value. And along with this ecological economic values, we also find that forest is also important from aesthetic point of view. It gives a beautiful views to us, and I can show you a beautiful picture, and you can see if you are there in some hilly area or in Western Ghats in monsoon season, you are in position to see such type of aesthetic beauty of the forest. But definitely in this particular forest, due to our activities, we can also see such type of pictures. So forest is important. We have to protect it. Forest we have to use for different purposes. Now, how to achieve this particular balance, and while achieving this particular balance, what kind of researches we can do in this particular field, that's what we are going to talk. Now, what I will do, I will initiate my talk with what exactly I did in my research work and where exactly there were problems, which topic emerged as an important topic for further research in this particular field. That also we will try to discuss in this particular 1 hour. Last 30 minutes I will specifically keep for question answer session. If you have any type of question, any type of doubt, or if you need any tips related to how to pursue the further research in a particular topic related to forest, I will be happy to provide the solution to your queries. So my first research or first aspect related to forest starts with definition. You just do the search on Google and find out the definition of forest, and you will find you will get large number of definitions. Each organization, government organization, use different definition of the forest, and your first difficulty or hurdle starts with that. As per this definition, which definition or which type of forest you will consider for your study, that is very, very difficult task to say. So here some of the definitions are given. The word forest was borrowed from medieval Latin word fortis, literally means outside. At that time, whatever was outside the village was considered as forest. So you can just think, the earth or the land surface was full of trees. So whatever was outside the village was considered as forest, and this word forest came from that particular source. Now in English, this particular word forest denotes any uninhabited area where people are not living. That area means forest as per the English meaning of word forest. Now many times we find that our word jungle is used even in English literature as it is, and it indicates that there is a mixed vegetation present in a particular area. Mixed vegetation present in a particular area means there are trees, there are shrubs, there are grasses, there are creepers, and when a particular patch is associated with all these type of vegetation, then it can be called as jungle. If you look from ecology point of view, then we can say forest is the plant community mainly of trees and other woody species with fairly close canopy, maybe with wildlife, may not be with the wildlife. Now United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization defines forest as a land with tree canopy cover of more than 10% area and area more than 0.5 hectare, and such areas we can call it as forest. Now this is at international level. Now let's come to India. Now in India we have Survey of India, and all of you have referred the Survey of India topo sheets. Now in these topo sheets, since 1767, the forest is demarcated with RF, PF and unclassified categories. Now you know RF means reserve forest. Indian Forest Act 1927 defines this particular forest as here everything is restricted unless permitted, and 53.87% government forest land comes under this particular category in our country. The second category of forest we get on the topo sheet, that is protected forest. Everything is permitted unless restricted. Okay, so grazing is permitted, a type of lumbering is permitted, but if need arises, then some restrictions are imposed in certain areas, and such type of areas are called as protected forest, and it covers approximately 30% country's forest land. But there are some areas, those are not under reserve category, those are not under the protected category, and then this particular area is called as unclassified forest. Previously, this unclassified forest were used to get called as village forest. Now why this village forest? See, if you see the evolution of forest department in our country, it started during the British era. So what Britishers did, they were interested in collection of revenue. So whatever was the private land, they separated it. Whatever was the revenue department land, they separated it. And whatever left, which was not a private land, which was not under the revenue department, that area they demarcated as forest land and transferred this land to the forest department. Now, there was a protest from the people. We need our resources from this particular patch of forest, and so our right should be protected. And so a small section of this particular land around the village, they kept it as village forest, but in 1927 the terminology got changed and it became unclassified forest. It became unclassified forest. And gradually we find up to 1980, the rights of the people, rights of the villagers are restricted on the government forest land, rather than the forest dwellers treated as encroachers on the forest land. So all these are social issues. All these are the issues related to administration, and these issues can be taken, these problems can be taken for the research. So when you are interested in doing research on forest, first thing, which forest you have to take for your study? Is it a reserve forest? Is it a protected forest? Or is it a forest which is demarcated by the government as a forest land? That you must decide, and for that these particular definitions will definitely help you. In 1930, again during the time of British colonial era, Champion classified Indian forest into 6 major types, 16 subtypes, then 20 subgroups, and 220 microgroups. Just imagine 1930. Very limited transport system was there, very limited equipments were there. But taking consideration of tree species, their density, their height, their breadth, this particular person classified the forest of India into 6 major types, 16 groups, 20 subgroups, and 221 microgroups. Some changes in this classification suggested in 1968 by Sheth. So again, if you want to take a forest, which forest? Moist tropical forest, dry tropical forest, mountain subtropical forest, that you have to decide, So this classification, definitions are very important when you initiate study related to the forest. Just example of Champion and Sheth. And surprisingly, after 1968, no major work carried out related to this particular classification. Still there is a scope to do the further investigation of a classification did by Champion and Sheth. Okay, but no major work carried out after that. Now, to monitor the forest resources of the country, in 1981, Government of India under Ministry of Environment and Forest set up an organization called as Forest Survey of India. And some people they took from Survey of India and satellite imagery based mapping of Indian forest they started since 1981 onwards. Actually their work started from 1972 onwards, but there was no separate department. Separate department as Forest Survey of India came in June 1981. At the initial stage, they classified the forest as open forest and dense forest. Open forest and dense forest. But later on they feel that this particular classification, which is a canopy based classification, is not proper classification. And so in 2003, they did further classification of dense forest as very dense forest with canopy cover more than 70%, moderate dense forest with tree cover, canopy cover between 40 to 70, and open forest where tree cover is between 10 to 40. Scrubland is considered as a degraded forest, and here the canopy cover is always less than 10%, and it is mainly shrubs we find in this particular part. Now today, written or unwritten rule is there that if you have to do any studies related to the forest, you have to follow the classification or the criterias, those are given by Forest Survey of India. Criterias given by Forest Survey of India. So we have to classify the forest as very dense forest, moderate dense forest, open forest, and canopy cover is the criteria for it. So with this definition and classification of forest, I think in your mind, the selection criteria related to forest theme is clear, and with this I will go to the next aspect, and next aspect is related to my work related to my PhD. Yes, definitely the credit of selecting this particular area and the topic goes to two eminent persons, Professor Arunachalam, who was head Department of Geography. He suggested that you should take a region, not a district. And he also suggested me that I should take at least time span of 25 to 30 years. He was actually expecting the time span for this study of 40 to 50 years, but data availability was a big problem. And so we took the time span of approximately 30 years, and definitely my guide, Professor Dr. Sudha Srivastav, helped me in carrying out this particular work very smoothly, and in a time span of approximately 2 years I was in position to complete this particular task of PhD work. So what exact study I did, that is mentioned in this particular slide. So my title is Forest Environment of Konkan, a study in spatial and temporal variation, and time period selected for this was 1970 to 2006. Why 1970? Because the topo sheets was giving the forest cover of approximately 1970, whereas satellite based imagery maps were giving the forest cover from 1990 onwards in a clear way, and so we have taken this particular time span. I started my work in 2008, and so time span I have taken for this study was 2006, or sometime you can say it is up to 2007. So what themes taken for the investigation? Forest mapping and quantification. So we did the mapping of the forest initially from the topo sheet and afterwards from the satellite based imagery maps. This quantification we did it at taluka level, and in taluka also we have categorized these particular areas, and the contour band we have selected for this. How we worked on this, that I will try to show you. So where exactly this forest is located? Is it there in the hilly areas, or is it there in the plain areas or coastal areas? That was also a theme of investigation. How the forest cover and quality changed over the period of time, that was also one of the theme of investigation. And what way the forest policies and acts, those came into existence over the period of time, were able to protect this particular forest or unable to protect this particular forest, and these themes we have selected for our investigation. So how we proceed? Let's see, this altitude wise forest cover I was trying to calculate. So what I did, I have taken Survey of India topo sheet. I have selected the contour 10, 150, 300, 450, 600 and above. Now, why I have not taken the contour interval 0 to 150? Can someone tell me? Why I have taken first contour of 10, then I went to 150, and again 150 is interval 300, 450 and then 600 and above. Why I have not taken the first contour interval of 0 to 150? That is from mean sea level to the 150 meter contour. The reason behind this was I was interested to even demarcate mangroves, and mangroves we get between more or less between 0, that is mean sea level, to 10 meters. And so that contour interval 10 contour I have taken, 150 meter contour I have taken, 300 meter contour I have taken, and as I mentioned, my study duration was between 1970 to 2006. I said taluka level study I made, and then data compiled at the district level, and then from various sources we examined the causes of deforestation, because there was a deforestation reported in this particular region, and both primary and secondary data we have taken into consideration, and then various measures, those are taken for forest conservation. We did the discussion on that too. So for 1970, topo sheets were taken. For 1989-90, satellite imagery based maps we have taken, and for 2005-06 we again took satellite imagery based maps, and with the help of the ArcGIS we did the data processing. The administrative boundaries taken into consideration for this work, and that was of 2001, and these boundaries we took from district census handbooks, and these boundaries we kept constant between 1970 to 2006 because there were changes in the boundaries, because Sindhudurg district got formed, Taluka got formed, then Vikramgarh Taluka came into existence. So there were some administrative boundary changes, but we used the constant boundaries of 2001 census, district census handbook for the data compilation. So what we did, we first taken how much area is there between 0 to 10. How much area is there between 0 to 10, and we got this particular data. Then 10 to 150, 150 to 300. So in our Konkan region of Maharashtra, this is what is the altitude wise area coverage. I think we calculated it, and the total area we got excluding that of Mumbai was around 30,000 square kilometer. Now why it is called as coastal plain? You will find the answer here. Between 10 to 150 meter, 62% area of Konkan lies, and that's why it is considered as coastal plain. So this calculation we did, and then this calculation we have taken at the taluka level. So graph we made from the above table, and beautiful fantastic graph, ipsographic curve we got for this particular region. So how we did the compilation? So from each district, each taluka is taken. Let's take example of Thane district, and in Thane district, Thane is a taluka. So in this Thane taluka, between 0 to 10 meter, how much area is there? It is 209 square kilometer. Out of that, how much area was under the forest in 1970? It was 2.12 square kilometer. 1990, 8.19 square kilometer. 2006, it became 2.46 square kilometer. How much area was under the scrub in 2070? How much area was under 1990 under scrub, and how much area was under 2006? So like this, for each and every taluka of Konkan, we did the calculation and compiled the data at the district level. Compiled the data at the district level to get an spatio-temporal variation of forest cover of this particular region. So these were our findings. These were our findings. In Konkan region, in altitude band of 0 to 10 meter, forest cover change here in Thane, it increased, mangroves increased in Thane by 8.72 square kilometer, thanks to the efforts taken by the various environmentalist group as well as by the government. In Raigad, it declined because of number of projects came in coastal area. That is the reason behind decline in the mangroves of Raigad district in this particular. In Ratnagiri, the forest cover change in this particular band was just 1.46 because Ratnagiri has very small area under this particular region. And in Sindhudurg, it increased from 12 to 12.58 square kilometer. But major decline, except that of Ratnagiri, we find in high population density areas, and that area is between 10 meter to 300 meter. 10 meter to 300 meter. With increasing accessibility by roads and other means of transport, even The higher altitude areas, that is between 300 to 450, 400 to 600, is also showing decline in the forest cover. An exception is there of Ratnagiri. Now why it is so, that also we will discuss. It is very interesting topic for the discussion, but we will see that in the later part. So this was the final forest cover change we got in between 2070 to 1972 2006 in various districts of Konkan, and detailed working carried out. A graph is made from that. So except that of Ratnagiri, we find that all the districts, that is Thane, Raigad, Sindhudurg, shown decline in the forest cover in the study period. But one important thing I want to talk with you, and that is that we will talk a little bit later on. So district-wise forest cover, if you take, okay, then this was the data which we received, and we can say in Ratnagiri the forest cover has substantially increased in the study period. Otherwise, in other districts like Thane, Raigad, even Sindhudurg, which is quite far away from the Mumbai metropolitan region, there was a decline in forest cover. Now, same data we have used to make a choropleth map, and this particular choropleth map shows which talukas are associated with decline in forest cover, which talukas where the forest cover increased. So you just do the observation carefully, and then we will do the discussion related to this particular map. And there we will come with why the Ratnagiri is showing substantial increase in forest cover in the study period. That also we will discuss. So you can see in Thane, Mumbai was not included in my study because it is totally urbanized area. So in Thane, particularly in MMR region, we can see increase in forest cover. And second area where massive increase in forest cover in the study period, and that was in Ratnagiri. So this was the observation. Now, my question is to you, that forest area increased in MMR region of Thane. Why forest area increased in Ratnagiri? So I tried to investigate these particular two themes on a greater detail. So can someone give me the answer why forest area increased in Thane or MMR region of Thane, and why the forest area increased in the study period in Ratnagiri district? Can someone give me some clue, some answer to this particular question? Yes, any one of you? You can unmute or you can type in chat box if you are paying attention. What can be the reason behind increase in forest cover of Thane? And what can be the reason behind increase in forest cover of Ratnagiri? Yes? Any one of you? You are not going to respond, then bolo.
Sir, due to the there were so many campaigns are going on in first week of July. Generally, एक वृक्ष को एक लक्ष कोटि कोटि वृक्ष, एक लक्ष 14 लक्ष वृक्ष. That was implemented, and due to that, forest cover may be increased.
Okay, in Thane and Thane particularly, we find that because of the efforts of the conservationists, those patches of forest were there the government started paying attention towards this particular patches, particularly mangrove patches, then Borivali National Park, then Tungareshwar Wildlife Sanctuary. This area got declared as protected area and quite good attention paid towards the conservation of this particular region. Not only that, even in those areas the buildings got constructed, some quantum of plots reserved, and the urban forests are made in this particular area. In certain cases, as Madam said, quite massive afforestation program by Vanrai and other organizations carried out in this area, and ultimately that started showing some type of symptoms, and this area started becoming greener, but greenery is not much. Now can someone tell me why the forest area increased in Ratnagiri? Because Ratnagiri's forest is really a puzzle. And at present I got one project from University of Mumbai, and under this particular minor research project I am doing work why the forest data of Ratnagiri is associated with so many puzzles. Okay, because we are going to see some data related to Ratnagiri, but still up to the satisfaction I am also not in position to get the answer. So my question is to you, why in Ratnagiri, in my study period, that is between 1970 to 2006, there was substantial increase in forest cover? Can someone suggest me? I just want to show you one map. See now, this particular map 1970-71 I have drawn from topo sheet, and in topo sheet only these patches were shown. Approximately 50 square kilometer area was shown as a forest area. But if you see the satellite imagery map made by Bhuvan, you find quite substantial amount of greenery you find in the eastern part of Ratnagiri, particularly in the Western Ghats, as well as in coastal and central area also. Some patches of forest are emerging. And it was quite interesting to understand what exactly and why exactly the forest increased in Ratnagiri. So in front of you, this is the data related to the Ratnagiri and taluka wise data it is. So total area forest as per Survey of India topo sheet, you can see 121 square kilometer area of the district was under the forest in 1971, but Maharashtra Remote Sensing Agency map shows it is 138. But the maps those I have obtained from National Remote Sensing Agency, that is NRSC, that shows that approximately 1013 square kilometer area, whereas the Forest Survey of India shows approximately 5800 square kilometer area of Ratnagiri under the forest. Why this variation? And in fact, one more thing I want to tell you, that both NRSC and Forest Survey of India use the same satellite imageries for this compilation, this particular data compilation related to forest. And why so much of variation? Those are good. Haan, bolo.
Sairi here. Sir, is it because they included the private land thing, like फळबागा आणि जे असतात ते पण मॅप मध्ये हे केलंय का?
Yes. In Ratnagiri, there is one aspect is very clear, the very small area is under the government forest. Reason behind that, when Britishers were acquiring the land under the forest department, there was a protest in Ratnagiri because in this area, they were performing chitmani, that is the shifting cultivation. And all the slopes of the hills were under this particular cultivation. And as a result of it, the government was not in position to acquire this land under the forest department. And so if you see the forest department land in Sindhudurg, it is very high. If you see in Thane, Raigad, neighboring Raigad, it is very large amount of land is under the government forest. But in Ratnagiri, hardly 80-85 square kilometer area is under the Department of Forest, and it is basically because of shifting cultivation which was practiced during that time when British government was acquiring this particular land under the Department of Forest. So in Survey of India topo sheets, this area is not shown as forest because it was under the private ownership, and maybe with tree, may not be with the tree. So consideration of that is taken by NRSC, but if you see the Forest Survey of India, they have not taken this aspect into consideration. Rather than my entire research work of approximately 6 months gone in West, actually what I did, I have taken the data from 1970s or 71 from Survey of India topo sheets. I have taken 1990s data from Maharashtra Remote Sensing Agency. The IIT made these maps. And I have taken the data from Forest Survey of India, Dehradun. And when I tried to compare this particular data, this data of Forest Survey of India was not at all comparable. At that time, I came across Bhusampada maps, and I saw there is huge gap between the forest area calculated by the Bhusampada, that is by NRSC, and forest area calculated by Forest Survey of India. In fact, both the agencies used the same satellite images. Then, fortunately, at that time, I was present to attend a lecture by Dr. Madhav Gadgil in IIT Mumbai. And after the lecture, I just requested the sir, sir, I'm in a confusion. I have compiled the data of this particular year, and my hypothesis that forest area is declining in Konkan, but if I'm using the Forest Survey of India data, then entire my hypothesis is now I have to change that substantial increase is there in the forest cover of Konkan region. So is this data is authentic? Then I shown him the Bhusampada data of NRSC, and I said if I use this data, then this data becomes comparable. Then sir given me the suggestion that don't go for the Forest Survey of India data because they are using a separate type of a methodology to calculate the forest cover, whereas NRSC is using separate methodology, but NRSC's methodology is much better than the methodology used by Forest Survey of India. And so if you avoid this particular part of the table, then data becomes comparable. If I includes this particular column, then my data, my hypothesis, everything was absolutely wrong. Okay, so why in Ratnagiri the forest cover increased? Then I had a discussion with, you can see the Ratnagiri state forest, that is Forest Survey of India's data I have just compiled, and you can see how much variation you find in the data given by the Forest Survey of India, and that's why the data which I received from Forest Survey of India is considered as non-authentic data. I have to give up that particular data. I have to again calculate the data or find out the data from Bhusampada maps. So I asked the question, why in Ratnagiri forest cover increased over the period of time? So the first person I met during that time, and that was Dr. Arvind Sawant, who was Vice Chancellor of Kokon Kushi Vidyapith, Dapoli. And he said that in Konkan, the agricultural fields are very, very small size because it is a hilly area. Terrace cultivation is mainly practiced on the slope. Then it is basically the paddy fields, and for these paddy fields, the rab is very, very important. You might be knowing what exactly is the rab. Is the rab where the leaves of the trees, branches of the trees are collected in the field, and then fire is put, and then entire that patch of land is burned, and then the seeds of rice are sown in that particular thing, and then after a particular time period, this particular plants are taken from this particular part to the other part. So for this RAP, they plant the tree around the field. These trees are there with good number of branches, good canopy cover, and the fields those are there in this particular area are not in position to see from the satellite images or from the satellite. As a result of it, entire area comes under the green zone, and that is considered by the Forest Survey of India as forest. Not did the substantial amount of ground truth work. Similar question I asked to Madhav Gadgil sir, why in Ratnagiri I am getting such type of a data where substantial increase in forest cover I can see. So he given the answer ki quite on a massive scale, shifting cultivation was practiced in this particular area, and this entire area demarcated as the Chitmane cultivation, and that's why government was not in position to acquire this area. But gradually after 1980s, there was decline in this shifting cultivation because many people from this particular region or this particular district migrated either to Pune or Mumbai in search of job, and gradually shifting cultivation declined in this area. Over the period of time, due to heavy rainfall in this particular area, tree growth took place, and now this entire area is under the private forest. Same type of answer given by eminent social worker Surekha Dalvi madam. Before 1980, approximately she said 25,000 Katkari tribes were involved in charcoal making in Ratnagiri district. But in 1985, government banned charcoal making, and so deforestation got stopped, charcoal making got stopped, and so gradually the forest cover increased in this particular area, and that's why Ratnagiri is showing substantial increase in forest cover. So if you see the Survey of India map, as there was shifting cultivation, they not demarcated this particular land under the private forest category, but gradually over the period of time, due to heavy rainfall and ban on shifting cultivation, ban on charcoal making, resulted the increase in forest cover in Ratnagiri district. So such type of justification I got for this particular question. Now if you see the data given by the Forest Survey of India under the India State of Forest report, at every 2 years interval they publish this particular data for all the districts of India. But in spite they are using quite good technology, quite good softwares, digital processes, we find that the data is associated with certain kinds of issues and problems. And you can see this particular graph which shows the forest cover of Thane district. See, this red color is open forest and blue color is dense forest, whereas green is mangrove. Mangrove is gradually increasing, but if you see the scrubland or the dense and open forest, so much of fluctuation in deciduous forest, tropical deciduous forest, is just impossible. But that type of data we are getting from Forest Survey of India. Same is with the Raigad forest. Okay, this data is just taken from the website of Forest Survey of India, just compiled and the graphs are made, and then we try to interpret this particular graphs. Ratnagiri, major fluctuations, and such type of fluctuations are just impossible in a tropical deciduous forest. Okay, Sindhudurg. Okay, now another slide showing comparison of forest cover of Sindhudurg by using different different organization. See the substantial differences. Now those students are trying to do some studies related to forest by using various types of indices. My request is to them that when you are taking the satellite data, you have to take it very, very carefully. The work on satellite imagery by using various algorithms is very, very easy. It is very, very easy. But if you are not in position to interpret it properly, it will lead to wrong conclusions. You can just see this particular slide. You can see the substantial variation. You can see the substantial variation. And this particular variation is just by selecting two different months satellite imagery for comparison or using different algorithms. That can lead to certain type of issues. Now I would like to talk with you about some topics you can take for further future research. If anyone has any questions related to it, you can discuss with me. Now, whatever I discussed and I realized during my PhD work, is still today we are not having any authentic data related to forest cover in our country. Whatever data is there, that is all hypothetical data or technologically correct data. But is it a real data? We don't know. And therefore, there is a need to carry out proper surveying to get the actual forest cover, and we should start this particular, one should start this particular work from the village. Then this village level data can be compiled to tehsil level, then this data can compile to the district level. Now for this purpose, you can use the satellite imageries, you can use the aerial photographs, or rather than I will say, you can use even your simple cameras. Go to the highest location, maybe a hill top, take the picture of a sample plot, calculate the trees, find out the species those are there in that particular plot, and then by that sampling method you can estimate the forest cover or tree cover of the entire village. Then such way we can compile the data at tehsil level, and from tehsil level it can be compiled at the district level. So at present, rather than taking the ready-made data, processed data at district level, at state level, it is always better to go for a research which will give you an idea and insight at the village level. अब बोलेंगे विलेज लेवल, 5 विलेज ले लो, 10 विलेज ले लो, 20 विलेज लेके स्टडी करो, मोर देन सफिशिएंट. एक तहसील ले लो, उसमें से हायर अल्टीट्यूड वाले विलेज ले लो, लोअर अल्टीट्यूड वाले विलेज ले लो, कोस्टल विलेज ले लो. You can. Okay. So such type of studies are required to get an correct estimation of forest cover. Then there is a scope to carry out, particularly in Konkan, particularly in southern Konkan I will say, because northern Konkan doesn't have much private forest. But in southern Konkan, quite substantial area in Ratnagiri and Sindhudurg is under the private forest. And very, very few studies got carried out on this particular private forest. In land record, you will not find it is as a mentioned as a private forest. It will be mentioned as a buried land, workers' land, okay, or Gairan. But in reality, there is a private forest. In reality, there is a forest. So there is a need to study this particular private forest, the tree cover of that particular private forest, species those are there in this particular, utilities of this particular private forest, then how the people are doing conservation or damages to this particular private forest. These topics can be taken for the study and it can be a wonderful study. Then quite a good number of ecological services are provided by this particular forest to the local communities or at a particular location. So there is a need of a study to get an insight of ecological services of the forest. Okay, so community-based work you can do. You just take Katkari communities and let's find out the dependence between forest and these Katkari communities, or Thakars and this forest. Okay, or other villagers and the forest. So such type of service related community or locality based studies are needed at present in this particular part. Then quite substantial amount of illegal tree felling takes place on government forest land as well as on private forest land. In spite there is ban, in spite there is need to take permissions to cut the trees. While cutting the trees, certain norms one has to follow. We find that all these are violated. All these are violated. And so you can collect the data from the Forest Department Division Office, how many illegal tree felling taken place, and then you can just compare this data at the village level, why people go for illegal tree felling, which trees are cut by the people, why, where the wood goes, what is the utility of this wood. That can be one of the study. Forest fire study is definitely required. Quite substantial work related to forest fire is carried out in Western countries or in North America, but in our country we don't have much work related to forest fires. So we can take this particular topic, that is causes, impacts, and for your information, if you go to the website of Forest Survey of India, since last 20 years, year-wise latitude, longitudes of each and every fire is given on their website. Okay, so that data can be taken, can be mapped, can be a pattern can be emerged, and that pattern you can try to take for your studies. So forest fire related studies are definitely can be taken, topic can be taken for the further studies. Forest Act and policies. Over the period of time, different Forest Act and policies came in, and how these particular acts and policies are implemented, what are the effects, is this acts and policies really fulfilling their objective, desired objectives. So you can, your study can be totally secondary database studies, and related to that you can work. And then one study one of my student is carrying out, and that is Forest Rights Act and its implementation and impacts. So such type of studies related to forest acts related. Someone's mic is on, please mute yourself, or if you have any question you can ask me. Hello? Hello? Any question is there?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. So such type of studies can be taken. Then forest data sources and comparison. Okay, forest data is provided by census, forest data is provided by the revenue department, forest data is provided by the forest department, forest data is provided by Forest Survey of India, NRSC. So comparison between this particular data, why the gaps are there, what are the possible causes behind this particular gap, we can discuss. And then definitely GIS is a very important tool at present, and with the help of this GIS you can carry out the forest mapping over the period of time. But definitely if you just use the technology for such type of mapping, you will not get the desired results. You have to understand the technology, you have to do the ground truthing, and then only your GIS maps, or the maps those you are going to make with the help of vegetation index, will be proper maps. Okay, definitely with the help of GIS you can also do the forest monitoring, that is species distribution and other related aspects. So definitely there is lots of scope for this particular type of work. Then we can also use the same technology or other technologies to understand the spatio-temporal changes in mangrove cover, ecological services of mangroves. One of my student is doing work on ecological services of mangroves. So such type of topics you can take for the further studies related to the forest. Even you can take some case study based topics for the further studies, like impact of dams on forest resource in a particular district or tehsil or a region, impact of infrastructure project on forest. Now widening of Konkan national highway is going on in Konkan. The few years back or some decades back, Konkan railway came in, so some ports are coming up, some infrastructure project like power plants are coming up. So you can take this particular infrastructure project and its impact maybe on forest or maybe on mangroves you can study. Quite good number of mines are there in Sindhudurg area. So definitely impact of these mines on forest you can study. Definitely Sindhudurg is declared as the tourism district of Maharashtra. Plus there are quite good number of tourist places in Konkan. So definitely what impact is there of tourism on forest cover, forest resources, whether it is providing some kind of sustainable livelihood to the local people or not. So such type of topics can be taken for the studies. I also did some small study related to rubber plantation and its impact on forest cover of Sindhudurg area. So quite good number of horticultural crops are coming up in this area. So what impact is taking place? Ecological impact, it can be economic impact. Is it a desired impact or is it a bad impact? It can be a good impact also. So such type of topics can be taken. I have also seen quite good number of second homes coming up, particularly in and around the forest areas. And definitely when the second home is going to come in this area, there will be massive construction. So what exactly is the impact of these massive constructions on forest resources? Whether to reduce the impact measures are taken or not taken, you can discuss with the help of this topic. So some case study based approach you can use for the future studies. So these are some of the vegetation indices. Those are good in technology, can use this particular indices, can carry out the analysis of vegetation cover, and you can try to interpret this particular maps those you are going to make with the help of this particular vegetation indices. One small study we did related to Ratnagiri district under the minor research project of University of Mumbai, and this methodology we have adopted. Okay, we have downloaded the list 3 data from Bhuvan, and then we just joined the images, then correction is carried out, then we have set up the images, then algorithm is worked out, area calculation we did, and then with the help of that final output is taken. And just as a case study, I have taken the Khed Taluka of Ratnagiri, 2000 map from Landsat 7, and build up area, water bodies, barren land. Now to make this particular map, what we did, we made one field visit to this particular area, and during this field visit we have just taken the photograph by geotagging them, and in a notebook we have written this is the location, latitude longitude is this, GPS instrument also we used, and after a photograph what was there, means it was open area, it was a tree area, if tree area, which trees, all this description we have written in our notebook, and ultimately when we got the Landsat 7 data and Landsat 8 data, same latitude longitudes we have used to demarcate the pixel for the specific land use. And with the help of that, we have made these particular maps and tried to calculate the land use land cover of all the talukas of the Ratnagiri district. So same technique, same thing we use for 2020, and then we also tried to use this Sentinel 2B data, but then we find this is available only for recent period. The 2-decade imageries were not available, but just we tried to compare between Sentinel images with the Landsat images, and the data was not comparable. So we just excluded that particular. So Khed Taluka land use, we have whatever maps we made from that maps, we have compiled the data, build up area, then but definitely data of this particular Sentinel images is not comparable with the data of Landsat images of 2020. So you can just do the work, why it is not comparable, why it is not comparable. Okay, you can find out some reasons behind that, and such type of research is actually required at present by the geography person related to the forest resources. With this, I thank you all. Thank you, Patil sir, Anuprit sir,
Yes.
Smiratna madam, Ramraje, Mane Deshmukh sir, Surendra Thakur Desai sir, Manish Kote sir, and the principals of these all autonomous colleges. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak with the future researchers. If anyone is having any question, any doubt, you can ask me that question. I will stop my presentation here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for giving an insight into research techniques in forestry, or you can say forest related research topics. Already there was discussion, but one hand raising was there. I think Sweta Pandey. श्वेता पांडे जी, आपको कुछ कहना है? श्वेता जी?
No, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir. Boliye.
Good evening, sir. This was
Good
such a
evening.
nice lecture. Can you please show me the slide having indices for forest research? That specific slide.
Just I have given the example. I will come to that particular slide.
I just want to look that slide. And one more thing I want to ask you.
Yeah.
In one of your earlier slides, in which you compared the altitudinal change in the forest area.
Okay.
It is about that specific topic, the altitudinal
Oh.
change in the forest area.
These are very few indices I have given on this slide. Actually, there are around more than 25 actually. Okay. Some are slope based, some are moisture based, some are reflection based. So actually one can do quite substantial work related to it, or you can combine them. Okay. So I will come to that particular slide where the spatiotemporal changes as per the altitude took place. Yes,
Okay,
this
sir.
is altitude-wise forest cover change between 1970 to 2000.
My question is related to that slide. Is
Yes, sir.
it an unethical practice or not a good methodology to compare uneven altitudes for the forest change analysis?
Yes, sir. I got it.
Because there are altitude difference, one is 0 to 10, then 10 to 150, then 150 to
Account number द्या मला.
That's what I said, sir. Why I have taken 0 to 10? It is mainly because in this belt only we get the mangroves, and this is the coastal area.
Because in your comparison, it is clearly show that the change is highest in 10 to 150.
Yeah, because here the density of population is highest. This is the village locations. Here we get the agricultural fields. And
Can't we say this is incorrect methodology to compare uneven classes of altitudes?
No, sir. I said why I have taken 0 to 10, because this is the coastal area, and in this area mangroves we have to take into consideration. Otherwise, I could have taken 0 to 150, then 150 to 300. But just to give significance to the mangrove cover, 0 to 10 is taken, and mangroves are separated from the rest of the forest. That is the only band where we have taken the uneven interval, and it is intentionally taken, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay. Actually, I got your point. Somehow, I am in some doubt, but
But definitely, if I have to do this work in the interior part of Maharashtra, this logic will not be there. That is 0 to 10. It will be even intervals of the contours. Because coastal area is not there.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
One more thing, I want to share my opinion.
बोलिए ना sir.
You use different type of datas in your research. In my opinion, you can also calibrate these satellite data in different type of softwares, na?
Yes.
To plot them in the same pitch.
Yes, correct. You are absolutely right, sir. See,
sometimes you can calibrate it for spatial distortion as well as the radiometric distortion.
Yes, in 2021 you are absolutely right, but in 2008 I was not knowing all these things, and when I was doing my literature review, I was really wondering how I will do the spatiotemporal change and its analysis. So after discussion with many people, I have selected this particular methodology, but definitely there was a need of a base, and that base was only available at that time from and 30 years time span I was minimum needed for my study. And so I have to take it from Survey of India, and then I have to go for satellite imagery based maps. But yes, you are absolutely correct. Today there is no need to go for satellite imagery maps. Directly satellite imageries can be processed and the desired data can be obtained.
One more thing I want to ask you.
Yeah.
How you processed the data to calculate या हम कह सकते हैं कि to analyze the dense forest and the open forest, which methodology you use for that specific point of research?
Yeah, sir, 1990 the category was given open forest and dense forest. 2006 category open forest, dense forest was given. Now that category was not there in 1970. So semi-evergreen and evergreen is considered as dense forest, and deciduous forest is considered as an open forest. And we tried to correlate it with the Bhusampada maps, and they were approximately tallying with each other. When I was taking evergreen, semi-evergreen, it was matching with dense forest. When I was taking the deciduous forest, it was matching with the open forest. So it was just a qualitative type of comparison, not a quantitative.
ओके सर, ओके बट बिकॉज मैंने ये चीज इसलिए पूछी है क्योंकि नाउ डेज यू कैन
Yes.
calculate the density of data by the remote sensing data
Yes,
by
correct, sir. Absolutely.
index like NDVI
Yes,
जो
correct.
vegetation index है वो लगा
We
के
are
आप
using that indices now for the present study of Ratnagiri district only.
different type of
Yeah.
NDVIs and
NDVIs.
indexes can calculate the density of the forest as well.
Yes, correct, sir. Absolutely correct.
Okay, sir.
We are using at present.
From my side, thank you very much for responding me, and that was a very informative lecture by your side. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.
I think, sir, no further questions are there.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So on behalf of all the collaborating institutes, your institute also is one of them. I extend my sincere thanks to you for sharing your valuable time and enlightening the participants. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patil sir. Thank you.